Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. Now, it doesn't surprise me at all that President Obama has agreed to spend at least $100 billion that we don't have to extend unemployment benefits for 13 more months because I, and if you watch this program, know about Cloward and Piven. You know it, and I know it. Collapse the system by overloading the welfare rolls. But there's another part of that as well, which also means I'm not surprised that the president gave in to extending the Bush tax cuts. It may seem like a loss to many people for the president, but do you really believe Obama, the man who rammed a mega bill after another mega bill after another mega bill down America's throat, suddenly had a change of heart and cares what the other side thinks before they even take power? How is the left reacting? Well, they're outraged. He's a sellout. You don't think he knew this was coming? Of course he did. Do you remember the Progressive Strategy meeting during the summer that we showed you the videotape, where Van Jones said, bottom up. Give them a reason and they will rise up. Bottom up. The president didn't lose on this because he's the top-down part. You are watching a very carefully crafted play. You remember when Anita Dunn was most proud about getting the press to talk about what they wanted them to talk about. You have to watch the other hand. Has anyone paid attention to what's happening in Russia? They are now set to control 50% of the U.S. uranium output. They also now have committed to partnership with the United States, Russia and the United States partnering on the smart grid technology. That doesn't sound good. Also, the FCC is making a power play, going around Congress and the courts to silence talk radio and Fox and control the internet. All the while, we're watching a bomb going off in every household, in every business, every place, every capital in the world. It's called WikiLeaks. And I believe that's where we have to begin tonight. Hello, America. I want to ask you who the most feared person in the world is right now. Feared by people in power. The man behind the WikiLeaks drama being played out in real life. His name is Julian Assange. This man has business executives, he has politicians and leaders all around the globe trembling in their boots. I would guess everyone but Vladimir Putin. The guy stabs whales with like toothpicks and kills them. Everybody's freaked out about this man. They're terrified at the mere thought of what secrets he might expose about them on the internet. The truth shall set you free, but it will make you miserable first. We're about to hit the misery part. Many people would rather have slave chains to secrecy than endure the misery required to live in the truth. And so they will fight. Oh, they will fight. Which puts Assange straight in the crosshairs. But who is aiming at him? I want you to come with me and hear this tale. I don't think anybody's really told the tale of Julian Assange in an explainable way. We're going to try tonight. Something's not right here. He appeared in a London court today after being arrested, but not charged by British police. He hasn't been charged with anything, but the arrest had nothing to do whatsoever with leaking information and classified documents on the internet. He was arrested over sexual offenses, alleged sexual offenses in Sweden. He was refused to be let out on bail despite wealthy supporters offering $150,000 to spring him out of jail. Filmmaker Ken Loach, a socialite, Jemima Khan, a journalist, John Pilger and 3 other donors agreed to pay more than $90,000 between them, but the judge said no. It's a bit ironic that the man dumping national business and personal secrets all over the internet is potentially being brought down by something he did in secret. Or did he? I want you to understand, I don't support this guy. I don't support what he's doing, but I'm really torn on this story. He is exposing the fact that our governments all around the world have been lying to us. It's been a job we've been trying to do, but been pilloried over and over for doing it. But I don't want a guy to go to jail or to be silenced for something he didn't do. Again, I don't support him. But I want you to look into the crime that he committed to warrant an international manhunt. This whole thing is not sitting right. Assange is under investigation for sex by surprise. What's that? Well, apparently this is Sweden's version of rape, sexual molestation, and unlawful coercion. Routine cases of sexual coercion have a maximum penalty of about 2 years in prison. But there are separate allegations from another Swedish admirer who he was also hooking up with. I want to show you a rough timeline of events from the British newspapers. As I go through this, I'm going to try to, it's confusing, but I want you to try to follow this along with me and then ask yourself this question. Really? Does this make sense? And if this were done by you, would you be getting the same attention that, that he's getting? Would you not be let out? Watch this. I want to show you, first of all, person number one. Now, we can't show you the actual photographs of the accusers. We don't do it. But let me just call her woman number one. She met Assange at a seminar hosted by the Swedish Brotherhood Movement. Now, what is the Swedish Brotherhood Movement? Well, that group is a hardcore, uber, far-left group with anti-Semitic ties and also has partnered with SDS, Students for a Democratic Society. So he's speaking at this seminar and she's there, okay? She's well known in radical circles and in college was a protege of the militant feminist academic holding the post on campus of Campus Sexual Equity Officer, whatever that is. In the past, woman number one has also had a blog posting that has since been removed called The 7 Steps to Legal Revenge that explained how a woman can use courts to get back on unfaithful lovers. Step 7 says, go to it and keep your victim in sight. Make sure your victim suffers just as you did. Okay, so here she is. We know who she is. She is a radical, uber leftist. She is at this panel where he has been invited to speak. Now remember, this is in August. He was invited to be the key speaker at the seminar on war and the role of the media. This is about the time when Assange was threatening to release more confidential documents. So, woman number one agrees to let Assange stay at her apartment leading up to the event. She says, I'm going to be gone for a few days. Well, it didn't work out that way. She was staying with some friends, and he was staying at the apartment. Well, on a Friday, she decides to come home early. And he says, well, I'm going to have to leave because you're here now. And she says, no, you can go ahead and stay. So they go out for a nice dinner at a restaurant. Sparks flew. They go back to the apartment, and they get busy. Consensual busyness. And this is important to the story, so I apologize. A condom was used, but it broke. Both agree that it was consensual and that the condom broke. That's important. Now, she claims that she was raped. Really? Because it doesn't show here. And here's why I say that. Because the very next evening, she put together a party in honor of him at the apartment that was held after the seminar. Got it? The next day, Assange speaks at the seminar. Now, there's a video of this event, and it was made available by Vaken.se. That's a Swedish network of independent alternative media reporters. The crowd and the journalists were made up primarily of leftist Swedes who were sympathetic to WikiLeaks. He's introduced by a Swedish social democrat. Social democrat. Remember, that's what Putin and everybody else became when the Soviet Empire collapsed. They went from communist to social democrats. He's introduced by a guy who's a social democrat who defended the actions of WikiLeaks as upholding international law. So he's surrounded by friends. Assange gives his speech and everything went as planned. Well, almost. There's one person there that he couldn't miss. One attractive, young, adoring female fan who sat right in the front row, caught his eye during the seminar. We found this photo from the Daily Mail. We have blurred her face out, but here she is. Here's the seminar, and here she is. Now, remember, he's at the seminar with woman number one, staying at woman number one's house, and he sees woman number two at the seminar. Now, apparently, she attended the seminar because she was a fan of Assange. I mean, what 20-something wouldn't be just an uber fan of Julian Assange? He's famous, he's rich, he's good-looking. Okay, he's famous, kinda. I mean, 1 out of 3 ain't bad. Actually, it's pretty terrible. But this is woman number 2. And here's where things get a little murky. There are conflicting sources here, but woman number 2 is allegedly hanging around after the speech by the stage trying to catch his eye. And they do. Well, unfortunately, they don't really talk, but these two start to talk. They start to chat, woman number 1 and woman number 2. I mean, what are the odds? Woman number 1 introduces woman number 2 to Assange and says, hey, you really should meet her. Even though we just had sex, you should meet her. Well, they end up hanging out in a group setting. After some flirting, Assange and woman number 2 make a breakthrough, and they go to a movie together, leaving woman number 1 here. This guy's a player. He must be really good because, again, sparks fly. And Assange says, you are hot. You're great. We should continue this. But I've got to run over to woman number 1's house because she's throwing a party for me. Hosted by the woman he slept with the night before, woman number 1. So woman number 2 is left at the movie theater. And like any good dirtbag, he promises to contact woman number 2 real soon and heads off to the party, woman number 1's house. Remember, woman number 1 supposedly had been raped the night before, but here she is organizing a party in his honor. Now, who hasn't thrown a party for the guy who just raped you? But she had such a good time that evening that she tweeted during the party, quote, sitting outside, nearly freezing, with the world's coolest people, it's pretty amazing. To me, this doesn't exactly fit the profile of someone who's been sexually assaulted by guy number 1. While she tweeted that, Assange was flirting with woman number 2 on his cell phone. Well, eventually they meet again that Monday. Woman number 2 and Julian Assange. And Julian actually convinces her to buy him a train ticket because he needs to get out of the city, but he needs cash because he fears the government would track him. So she says, okay, but I've got to go to my apartment and get the cash, which is lucky because at her apartment they can have sex. And they have sex, consensual sex. And Assange wears a condom. The next morning, they have sex again. Where did I put that money? Oh, I don't have any pants on. This time, however, no condom. And there's the problem again. Woman number 2 is so upset by this rape that she decides to go to breakfast with the man who just raped her. You see? After breakfast, Assange heads out. She pays for his train ticket to leave. He's a romantic guy. Okay, if this account is true, then both parties apparently agree that the sex was consensual, which doesn't make much of a case here. Where's the crime? Well, Sweden is a little different. It is sex by surprise. Didn't have a condom. Well, there wasn't much of a crime there. That's why the case was closed in August. So the woman brought in a high-profile Swedish social democratic attorney. Wait a minute, social democrat, where have I heard that again? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what Putin. Okay. That's right.